Alright, so this is the second video about Kidwind 2.0. The first one focused on just a basic overview of the design challenge and also a little bit about some of the tools that were in the turbine design. Okay, so we went over this area right here. Right now we're going to talk about the maps and the sites and how to place things, where to place them, why they go where they go, and it can be overwhelming. So that's why I separated the two videos. So this is the second one. I'm going to clear these out, and I'm going to first, before I get into this help, I'm going to go to research, because if you scroll all the way down, there's this wind farm siting. It's super important when trying to understand all of the different parts and pieces to the wind farm siting portion. Okay, so let's just kind of go through and pick out some of the important parts here. Okay, so there's multiple maps, and you know that's based on if I change up the specs and where the location is, then you will have different maps. So regardless of the map, the principles are the same. Okay, so we need to be, your wind farm siting team will have a large map and other data that can help you make decisions on turbine placement. So it's going to include wind speed and wind direction data, geographical features, so rivers, mountains, lakes, whatever, human structures, houses, roads, airports, wildlife and other environmental data, and major power infrastructure. Okay, so if you look over here, you've got the homes are going to be red, and we kind of have to obviously stay clear of the homes. And then the buildings are green, so that's these. And then you've got wildlife preserve. We can't be going all in there because we got to make sure we're protecting our animals. And then airport, I don't see an airport in this particular map. Your main road, that's the gray line right here. You got power line, which is this right here. And wind turbine, you can't see right in this screenshot. An access road, you also can't see in this screenshot. I think you can see a part of it up there. You got a substation right here, and then a substation line. So we're gonna go through rather slowly and to better understand all this. So one of the parts in the engineering are the maps. Okay, you have a wind map. You can make it transparent. Okay, so we're going to talk about the wind map right now in the research section. Wind speeds play a vital role in producing wind power because the wind has to be moving fast enough for a wind turbine to begin moving. Okay, some of them need to be at least 11 miles per hour or 5 meters a second before the rotor begins to rotate. Okay, so we need to be looking at this wind map to figure out the best spot to place these. As power output is determined by the wind speed, you will want your wind turbines with the windiest spots. That's pretty obvious. Okay. The image on the right is a typical wind map, and the different colors represent historical wind speeds at different locations. So we can predict using these historical data to figure out where we should place these. Okay. And so if we go back to engineering, we can see ours. Okay, we can probably would want to put some over here and maybe some over here. Okay, just because you're gonna want the windiest spots. All right, let's go back to research. Scroll back down. Now, wind direction and wake effects. These are the different seasons. You got winter, spring, summer, and fall over here, and the meters per second that the wind is blowing. Okay, each turbine is going to have this wake zone, and so you don't want to place another wind turbine near this wake zone, or it's going to greatly reduce the power production. Okay, so when you're placing these, you do obviously kind of want to get them close, but if you get them too close, then it's going to reduce the amount of power that they can produce. So that's important also. Okay, When siting your turbines, you got to be careful of setbacks so you're not too close to the farm. So like if you see here, this gray is interfering with this home. It's too close to the home. You can see right here. And right here you can see that it's too close to the road. So you need to make sure that they can be close, but they can't be touching. So this gray circle cannot touch this red. This gray circle cannot touch this road. It also couldn't touch this environmental area either. Okay, so you gotta, when you're placing these turbines, you gotta be careful about how close they are. Okay, so construction cost, we have to connect everything to the grid. So you will need to connect your wind farm to the major power lines to get your power to consumers. So we have our turbines, and then we're gonna generate energy, and we want them to get to the customer. So there's some tools here that you need to use in order for that to happen. One tip in this area is you can connect, like you can take a power line here and connect them to each other and then get it to the substation. Okay, so you don't have to have a power line going from here to here and then also another one from here to here. You can connect them. That's going to save you on construction costs, because every certain distance of this is going to cost you a certain amount of money. And remember, we're trying to keep our costs down. So try to connect them if you can, so you can reduce cost. Okay, so each turbine needs to have its own power line. It also needs to have a road, an access road, so if there's something wrong with the turbine, a crew of people can go out and fix it. So that's this section down here, cost of road construction. Siding rules. In the wind farm siding challenge, you'll be able to place up to 15. You don't need to use all 15. You can if you want to, but that's going to raise your cost. Okay, so you want to use like your objective is to meet the minimum energy requirements, which might not need all 15, but you need it at the lowest possible cost. Okay, so let's head back into engineering and start playing around with the help section there so we can better understand the tools. Okay, let's start with the help button, and we're gonna go and focus our attention to turbine siding. It's down here. You're gonna open up the eyeball and you should see the terrain. You should be able to see our wildlife area. I don't see an airport on here, but it's in the key. There's buildings, there's homes over here, there's a home right here, power line, substation, and the rest you can see right here. Okay, so let's scroll down and let's open up the wrench on maps, and we're going to click on show wind map, and we're also going to show the transparency. So apply. So this is showing us where the wind is. Remember, we need to look for the windiest spots, and that's going to be the darker colors. And it's nice to have this transparent piece on, because you can also figure out where the rivers are, where the wildlife preserve is, where the roads. So it's nice to have both set. Alright, select the transparent checkbox. Okay, we already did that. Now let's working with sites. In the turbine siding section, select sites. We can see our inventory. We've got 15 turbines. These are the turbines that you made over here. So whatever your design is, those are down here, and they've given you 15 of them. Okay, remember, we got to keep our costs down. So building 15 turbines is probably going to be pretty costly and it'll probably exceed your minimum energy requirement. Okay, so I would suggest not using all 15. In the sites work area, select show wake and show wind speed. So we're going to click the wrench and we're going to show the wake and we're going to show wind speed. Apply. Now we don't see anything right this second because we haven't taken anything out of our inventory. So that's probably what this is saying. Drag, yeah, click and drag, and we'll just put it over here by this house. and we can see, I would also, it doesn't say it here, but since you're working with me here, show setback. That's going to show you the area. See, this is showing me I'm too close to this house. So I need to kind of come back over here a little bit. And so they're not touching. Okay, so that's kind of an important piece to have there too. Anyway, you can see the different wind speeds through the different seasons. Winter is blue. The green is spring. Summer is yellow. And red is autumn. Okay. So click a second wind turbine onto the map, place it close to the first one. So let's get them close together. Now if we put them too close, we're going to have issues. So we got to make sure we're close but not too close. Okay, let's make sure we're looking good. There we are. And you don't want this wake to be interrupting this one. Okay, you're going to lose a lot of power if the wake is bumping into the other. So just make sure you're kind of off to the side. Okay, so in the sites work area, select show setback. Okay, we already did that, so that's cool. And we already explained that you don't want them, you don't want to have them overlapping. Okay. This is pretty much everything I just talked about, so I'm just kind of skipping through that. Okay, so drawing the roads and the substation lines are there. It gets annoying at times. Okay, and you'll see what I mean when you start doing this. If you have a mouse at your computer with a left and right click, it might be a little easier. If you don't, then you're gonna need to use the shift button. So for example, I'm gonna click my road. This is an access road, so this is going from the turbine to the main road, so that if something goes wrong with the turbine, we can get a crew out there to fix it. So you're gonna want to click. So make sure you already clicked the road in the sketch control area over here. Okay, and you can see as I move, I'm not holding shift. I'm not doing anything. I clicked once on the turbine and it's attached. And what you're trying to do is get it to the road over here, the shortest distance you can find. If you have a mouse that has a left and right button, then you're gonna right click. If you don't, then you need to hold shift and then click, and then it should stop following your mouse. Okay. Now we have an access road. Once it turns gray, if it was like a different color, then I think if it's red, then it's something messed up. So for example, yeah, so that road right there is red because it's not making it all the way to the main road. So this access road isn't working. So now we got to get rid of that. You got to go to the trash can and then just hit this. It'll go away. Go back to this sketch controls. And remember, we want as little amount of road as possible because we're trying to reduce our costs. So I'm just going to connect. I'm going to click once on 2. And I'm going to drag this just over to where 1 is so that the people can access 1 and 2 on that same road. Hold shift and push and just click your mouse. Okay, now these are gray and we have access to the main road. Okay, now the power line, I believe, is probably what they're going to talk about next. Yep. Okay, by the way, access roads cannot interfere with natural or man-made features. Okay, except for water, I guess, but that's going to be expensive because then you're going to have to build a bridge. So try to avoid them if you can, but you can't cross over the environmental area. So just, keep that in mind as you're building. All right. Moving on to the substation lines. Very similar, except that we're going to try to connect them to the the substation over here. So you're going to click this. You're going to take your substation line. Now let's double check because I'm pretty sure it can't interfere with these things too. So let's read down here. Substation lines cannot interfere with natural or man-made features or their setbacks except for water. So these guys can only go over water. So this is going to be a little challenging, and hopefully I can get it done with my first try here, but if not, I'll just try again. So anyway, let's go with start with number 1, and I think I can hit here. I don't know, I think it's going to interfere with that home, but let's just try. Let's see what happens. Remember, it's going to stay stuck to your cursor, so as you're approaching the substation, hold shift and click, and that actually worked. It was able to go through the house. If not, it would have been like a weird color. I'm pretty sure that worked. Let's see, I mean, double check though, it's red. Hold on, here we go. If the substation line does not terminate at the substation, the color of the line will be red. So all valid substations will be white. So I can't tell if that's good or not. Let me look at my energy analysis and see. Okay, so yeah, that one worked. I guess that middle piece it would be red if it doesn't work. So let me see what that would look like, I guess. Okay, so there's a difference. If you see white down the middle, you're good. If you see red down the middle, then you've got issues, okay? I'm pretty sure this gets into this energy analysis next, so I'll just go ahead since I pulled it up. What I was looking for was making sure that I'm looking at number 1. So this is my turbine number 1. This is the potential 2.8 kilowatts an hour, and I was able to get 2.8 because I was able to make my turbine connect to the substation. Okay, the potential on my second one over here is also 2.8, but nothing's coming out of it because I don't have it connected to the substation. So I would need to take my substation line, click on 2. You might be able just to, because remember we're trying to reduce cost, you might be able to just to attach it to number 1. So I'm gonna remember it's stuck to your cursor. You got to hold shift. So push shift, click number 1, and I now have production energy coming out of my second turbine. Okay, now my turbine design is default right now, and so my production is garbage. Even though I'm getting some sort of kilowatts per hour, I can get a heck of a lot more if I build a better design in my turbine. So that's why this one is very overwhelming, but once you get it, it's kind of fun to be able to maximize the amount of energy in different areas. So once you get it, it does end up getting less overwhelming, and it's a little bit of fun. So there is that piece right there. I guess let's just move on to other portions. I mean, usually those things right there are what most people get confused on. So there isn't really much else to talk about. But this energy analysis is super important. It reminds me a lot of the gliders at the very beginning of the year when we had that little optimization piece when it was like sliding back and forth, those triangles. This is a good thing to keep up pretty much the whole time too. Okay, so that I think hopefully, I mean, again, I knew when I started the video that a lot of you still might be confused. I mean, I tried my best. It's tough to get this in one shot through this screencast thing. So hopefully you at least feel a little bit more comfortable with these tools on this interface. But always, if you need me, come, raise your hand. I'll be over, and we can work together. And I think once you get one or two turbines set, then it starts to click, and then at that point, it's trying to do better in the competition. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and end this video, and I just hope that it helped. All right, our next project will be building dragsters, which will be a lot of fun, and so I'll make a video on that as well. All right, see ya.